Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 21 of the mini paint challenge. Uh, my name is Megan, and we run these challenges every week. It has been 21 weeks now. It's crazy how long it has been since we've done these. And last week we painted this little mushroom here. I found a photo of this cute little mushroom on one of my hikes. Now, these ones are 3 inches by 3 inches, so you can use whatever size you want, but I like to paint on this little size here, so that's what we're going to be painting on today. I've got a cute little picture of sushi because I love making sushi. And if you are new here, make sure if you try out the reference photo today, you use the hashtag mini paint challenge and tag me at Meg and Josol art. Then I can show your art some love on the different platforms, Instagram, Facebook. You can tag me on YouTube or TikTok as well. All of my socials are in my bio. And also in my bio is you can download the full quality reference photo at the mini paint challenge link. When you click on it, there's a little reference photo button. If you click that, it'll scroll down to the bottom and it'll show you all the past week reference photos. So you can find week 21 and then download that. So then you can blow it up on your screen a little bit bigger and use that. So I'm gonna get straight into paint mixing. This is our little reference photo today. We've got some delicious sushi. I thought it would be cool to do like the blurred sushi in the background too, so I can show you how to do more of that like blurred effect. And then I just kind of did a simple blue background because I think sushi looks really good with blue in the background. I've done a few sushis with like blue, and those are all a bunch of my mini paintings behind me right there. I tried to make a little backdrop for our vertical live streams. I haven't been doing vertical live streams the last couple days because we were in a merge this weekend because my husband got post-viral hives apparently. So he had like hives all over his body. So we are just trying to recover, and I've been trying to like clean up the house around here just to he's doing okay now. So the hives have slowly went down. He's taking like 4 times the dose of Reactin is what the doctor has him on, and then like some sort of steroids to like keep them down as well. So I'm hoping that works for him. I'm gonna go over the colors that are on my palette right now. Excuse me, I have seasonal allergies. Maybe I should have some Reactin too. Maybe not 4 times the dose though. That's crazy. They've got him on such a high dose of that. Okay, so I just put some titanium white there. We've also got some warm white. I don't know if we'll use a ton of warm white today. We'll need a little bit of that. We've got alizarin crimson. I'm definitely going to need a bit more alizarin crimson. And then we've got, I don't think we'll have a few colors on here we might not use, but this one is cadmium red light. And then we've also got Indian yellow, and then we got lemon yellow. I'm going to put some more sap green on there. I'm gonna add that out. And then we have cerulean blue hue. We do have, so this one's ultramarine blue, and then we also have phthalo blue on there. Well, phthalo blue's been on there for the last couple weeks and I haven't used it, so maybe we'll use some phthalo blue today. I don't need that though. And then we've got burnt sienna on there, and I actually put burnt umber on here the other day. Don't actually think we'll use burnt umber, but we could use it with the, here I'll use my little arrow. Got like a little mushroom here, so we could use a little burnt umber for that, but I kind of like to make the mushrooms like a little purpley because it just like looks cool. But we will put some more alizarin crimson on there because I will definitely need that for the kind of so the sushi, I guess I could explain what is in the sushi. So we've got avocados. I think that one is probably pretty obvious. And then we've got sweet potatoes is the orange part. And we've got some shiitake mushrooms on the side there, just a little one there. And then I also put just egg in it because we're actually plant-based, so we made plant-based sushi, but I really love just egg, and then I add a little bit of mirin to the just egg, and it kind of tastes like, you know, those kind of like Japanese like folded eggs. And just egg is actually really good. It's made with mung beans. So I guess that kind of yellowy orangish part right here down below the sweet potato, that one is just egg there. So that is what we're going to be painting today. Okay, so now that we have all of our colors, I'm going to decide on what we're going to do first. Maybe let's start with the inside and like paint all of like the different colors. So we've got like the avocado and the sweet potatoes. Let's paint like the toppings, or I guess these aren't toppings, they're like inside the sushi. All of our ingredients. Okay, so we'll do the avocado first. We just put some sap green out, so we will grab the sap green. Now that is probably going to be too dark. I'm going to add a little bit of lemon yellow. Because that'll probably bring it closer. Sap green's a nice like kind of like pre-mixed color that I use. It's a combination of Indian yellow and like phthalo blue. So it's like pretty transparent. The pigment, but it's really nice in like nature-y type scenes or for like really green kind of like vegetables and stuff. I find it super useful. It's like one of those pre-mixed colors I actually really enjoy using. Okay, so that's like pretty nice. I would say it's even on the like the deeper side, so we're gonna have to desaturate that a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of alizarin crimson to desaturate it. And that should give us more of the green we're looking for there. Yeah, that's pretty accurate there. Now I have the reference photo up in front of me, so I can just kind of like hold it up and compare it. That's why my arm keeps going over the palette there. It's always good to kind of just like compare, especially if you're looking to make it look realistic. The other tip is when you're starting out, I never actually used this. I try, but I've seen other people do this where they bring their thing, like their reference image up into paint, and you can use like the dropper tool to kind of like see where it is on the color wheel. Never actually done that before. But I should demonstrate that to you guys at some point, because I've heard that's like really helps with color mixing when you're first beginning. You could also just kind of like play around and hope it kind of matches up with the colors that you see. It's a lot of like playing around with the pigments that you have, so it's nice to have like a palette that's very simple to start out with if you're new to color mixing. And then you can kind of play with the colors and see how they combine together. It's really just about playing with it for the first couple of years that you're like starting out painting. So then you can learn what the colors do when you combine them together. So I'm just using a little bit of sap green again, and I'm adding the lemon yellow, and we're gonna make that lighter green kind of color in the avocado there. So I'm gonna go, let's see, so that's like pretty bright because it's like a pretty desaturated color again, so I'm gonna add a little bit of alizarin crimson again. My morning has been pretty good. How has your morning been? I feel like we got up late this morning, but it's been good. We've been like tired over here since my husband got massive hives this past weekend, and we were like at a merge. We ended up being at a merge for 10 hours. 10 hours we had to wait for a doctor to see us. They are really understaffed here on Vancouver Island. It's so hard to see a doctor, and all the clinics were at capacity, so we just had to wait at Emerge, which is obviously like triaged. So if someone comes in with something worse than you, then you're like, oh, well, that's going to be another hour. But good despite being tired. I was saying that yesterday, like, to my friends. I was like, I'm really tired lately, but like, it's been good. Like, I feel like I've been feeling really good. Yeah, it was a little brutal, but we tried to make the best of it. Like, I knew that we would be in Emerge for a while, so I packed like extra clothing and I packed extra food and I packed an ice pack for my husband because he was finding that like putting ice on them was really helping. Packed some freezies. I packed us all the things that we needed to be there for an extended period of time. So I'm glad that I like packed us some extra stuff. I planned ahead. I'm one of those people that like bring everything and don't regret it because we tend to need them. And I think my husband and son were very happy that I packed all of the extra food. Because while we were there, actually, we were sitting kind of near like the vending machine area. And like, vending machines are so expensive too. Like, I don't want to buy like vending machine food, but like, they ended up like breaking halfway through like sitting in Emerge too. So like a bunch of people like just didn't have food. They have like free water there, obviously, so people could still like drink water, but yeah, the vending machine stopped working. So I felt very fortunate that we had brought I brought like a massive bag of just like granola bars and like hummus and veggies and stuff, and I packed us sandwiches. No regrets there. Okay, I'm just doing like a lighter green now for this section. I'm gonna have to desaturate it a bit. Don't want it super bright. I'm also gonna add a bit of warm white to this because we're gonna need to start to go into that like white-ish area. Yeah, we're gonna have to desaturate that with a little bit of red again. Such a nice avocado color. I love avocados. Don't buy them very often. Normally just when we make sushi. They tend to be pretty expensive here. I try to like buy the more like cheaper vegetables if we can. Wish we could grow our own avocados here. I love growing our own food, but avocados do not grow on Vancouver Island. That is not in our climate. Just adding a little bit more alizarin crimson to tone that down a bit. Just need to make it a desaturated green because it's just a little too bright. Trying to go for a little bit more realism with this one, so okay, use that. And then I also need to make a more white color. Actually, take a little bit more. I'm just taking a little bit from that color. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my warm white and add it there. Can you guys see my eyes watering from my allergies? Note to self, take an allergy pill next time. I like went outside for a dog walk this morning and then my eyes started watering immediately. And they're probably going to be watering more tonight because I have a swimming lessons tonight. Yeah, avocados are great, right? They're so delicious. Okay, well that's good. We've got our avocado colors there. I didn't mark off my, one sec, I'm just gonna switch that for a second. Okay, I still have some room. This is our next scene. That's what the sketch I did. I normally mark off like where this kind of hits, so then I make sure that everything's in frame. Let me go back to the mixing scene. There we go. So I can still put a few colors up here if we need to. Okay. I saw Claritin had. Oh my gosh. Well, we definitely have lots of Reactin at home because that's what my husband's been taking. He's been taking 4 times the dose of Reactin just to get his hives down, and then he got like a steroid at Emerge when we were there. So, oh my goodness. So he's definitely on a ton of allergy meds right now. Poor guy. Okay, we are going to do, let's do the yellow next because I think I can fit the kind of eggy color in there. So that is like yellow, but like desaturated yellow. I think I actually put some mangoes in that sushi too, unless that's like little sweet potato bits. Interesting. I see like little mango bits in there. I can't remember if I put mango in that sushi. It looks like sweet potato and like just egg there. Okay, I'm gonna start out with the yellow. Now, one thing I like to do too is you kind of just put it on your palette, like the plain color unmixed. And if you hold it up, you'll see it definitely needs to be lightened. So we could put a little bit of warm white in there. Now we're going to need to desaturate this color, and in order to desaturate it, yeah, I put just egg in it, so it's one of those like mung bean eggs. So it's not actually an egg, it's like a plant-based version of an egg. But it looks like kind of like around it, there's like little bits. I'm just like looking up close and it looks like there's little mango like pieces, but it might also just be little bits of the sweet potato too. Okay, so I lightened that. It's definitely still really dark, so we're going to desaturate that. In order to desaturate it, I was going to say, we add a little bit of blue. So I'll add a bit of ultramarine blue, and this will kind of give it like a greenish tint. This might be a little too green, so let's see. It might have been on the same tray with my mango sushi too. So there's probably bits of mango sushi because we like making avocado mango sushi. Oh, it's so good. Avocado mango sushi is my favorite. Okay, I made this like really green, so we're gonna have to add a bit of yellow to it. And to counteract that, we're gonna add a little bit of alizarin crimson as well, because it's almost kind of orangish. So this will kind of and I'll probably put this to the side, and this kind of will be. Let me just test. So this is on the orange side now. That's like closer. We definitely need it a little bit more yellowy. I'm gonna put a little bit to the side, and I'm gonna put more yellow in it. And it probably does not look like what you think it would as you're mixing it, but once you hold it up to all the other colors, it'll look more accurate. That's the thing with color mixing, is you kind of are like, oh, that like looks really off. Then you get it around the other colors and you're like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty accurate. Okay, and then we're gonna make a lighter version too, because there's definitely a lot of that lighter color. I'm gonna add a little bit of titanium white to kind of make the lighter sections. I will use my arrow. I guess the arrow is pretty much pointing at it because that is the area that we're doing here. This, and then we're going to go and do some of the lighter area. Yeah, I feel like today I just get to enjoy painting, not worrying about too much. I was like trying to get some chores and stuff done yesterday just to try to like get the house in order. Oh, I made, it might be hard to see here, but I made mac and cheese earrings the other day. I've like been playing around with polymer clay and I'm actually really enjoying it. I think we might have to do a live stream at some point with like polymer clay because I've been really enjoying playing around with polymer clay. Okay, so those are our two kind of like eggy colors. We also have this, but I'll put it at the side for now because we might use it in a different section, maybe. We're gonna do the orange, which is the sweet potato now. So I will move my arrow over and we will get some of those darker sections. So we're gonna start out with alizarin crimson for that. Alizarin crimson, and we're gonna make kind of like a purpley color, like a dark purple. So we're gonna add a little bit of blue. I want it to be still more on the red side. My girlfriend loves weird earrings. They're so much fun. I love making weird things, and I've gotten so many compliments on them already. I only made them a few days ago, but I've worn them the last couple days. And so many people have been like, oh my god, those are so cool. Some people want to eat my earrings too. I was actually surprised, like, so I made like the little cheesy bits on the earring, and they actually look pretty realistic, like the cheese that I made. So I was impressed with the cheesy texture, and it was like stringy and everything. I'm like, oh man, I can make so many cheesy things. Gotta make like a grilled cheese. So many cheesy things that I can make. Make some cheese and crackers. Ooh, that'd be good. Make like a cute little cracker and cheese on my earrings. Okay, that's like looking pretty good. Let me test that. Yeah, I like that color. So we will, yeah, I'll put it here. And then we're gonna go into that orangish color. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more alizarin crimson, and I'm gonna take some cadmium yellow, cadmium lemon yellow, which is pretty much the same as cadmium yellow. Need a little bit more of the lemon yellow there. Okay, let's see how close that is. That's like pretty orange and not the right way. So put it over here. Might have to get some more lemon yellow out. Oh, getting it all over my hands. But yeah, I have some more plans to make other earrings. I was thinking waffle earrings, because I'm like, I could make like a maple syrup with the liquid clay, which would be really fun. And I'm Canadian, so we eat a lot of maple syrup here. It's true. Or at least I do, because I grew up around all the maple farms in Ontario. Most of the maple farms are in Ontario and Quebec. Those are like the two big producers of maple syrup here in Canada, and I grew up right near a maple farm. We used to go to the maple farm all the time when I was a kid. We would eat maple right from the trees. You would like lick the sap out of the trees. And then they would also, you would actually eat maple syrup on the snow. They would pour it on the snow and then you'd eat it off the snow. And there was these like maple cookies that were really good. They were like pretty much just pure maple syrup. So delicious. And you got to like learn how to tap the trees too. Such a fun experience. So this needs to be desaturated. So in order to desaturate this, we need to add a little bit of blue to it. I say a little bit and then I like go and make it green. Not what I was intending. A little heavy on the colors today. Let's try that again. Lemon yellow. I added a little bit of the blue, and then we'll add some of that alizarin crimson back in. Went a little too crazy there. That's going to be too bright. We still need to desaturate that, but not as much this time. We're just going to take a little bit of that. Let's see. See, that's closer. It's a lot closer. It needs to go like a little darker. A little bit darker. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty close now, so we'll keep that. And then we want kind of a lighter color too, so we're gonna add some. I just kept a little bit of that orange on here. We'll add the yellow to it. The lemon yellow. And that color should be okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's like the lighter color. So there is the orange color. And then we have the mushroom color too. So we have like a little shiitake mushroom right up here. I'm gonna start and make it kind of like purpley because I find the shiitakes look really cute when you make them kind of purpley. I'm gonna like put some of these colors to the side. This sometimes happens when you're mixing colors is you add too much of a certain pigment and you have to like remix the color again. So that's what we had to do there. I'm gonna just clean this off so that we don't get like a bunch of color bleeding into our next one. We are going to do the mushrooms. I'm gonna add some ultramarine blue and a little bit of the alizarin crimson. Mix that together. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of, to add some more warm white onto the palette. Running low on warm white. I really liked using warm white. I have to buy more warm white at some point because I do actually enjoy using it. I didn't want to buy a big tube unless I liked it, but I do. So I would definitely buy more of it. Okay, you're only going to add a little bit of warm white because we're just lightening this a bit. I'm going to add a little bit of sap green. And that'll desaturate it. Okay. Yeah, that's closer to what we want. So I'm going to add that there. I'm going to take this, I'm going to add a little bit of the warm white to it, and probably a bit more sap green. And that'll give us that kind of grayish color that the mushroom is, but like more on the purpley end, because I feel like every time I turn the mushrooms, a little bit of that purpley color, they just look so cool. Painted shiitake mushrooms a few times, and I just like them kind of that purplish tint. You can go for more accurate if you want, but I like it like this. Okay, so those two colors are for the mushroom. So we've pretty much got all of the food colors in there. Now we're gonna go and make probably the sushi rice color. So the sushi rice is kind of like on the bluish kind of end to white. I'm gonna clean off this so we don't mix with that purple to start fresh. And it's on the bluish side, so it's definitely not a warm white. We're gonna be using titanium white as the base. So we're gonna start out with titanium white. Decent chunk of it, because I'm still doing a small painting, but there is a decent amount of that color there. We're gonna go on the purpley side again, so it'll be kind of similar to the color we mixed here, just a little bit lighter. So we're gonna go with a little bit of ultramarine blue, do a little bit of alizarin crimson, and then we're gonna add that sap green in there. We're gonna mix that up. Maybe a bit more ultramarine blue, because it's definitely more on the blue side. We're making that gray color. We're kind of making the mid-tone color right now, and then we'll make a slightly deeper color as well, and then we'll make a lighter kind of highlight color too. So we're going for like the mid-tone just to get an idea. I'm gonna have to make that a little bit more purpley actually. So I'm gonna add a bit more ultramarine blue and a little bit of alizarin crimson as well. Maybe made that a little too red. Let's see. A bit more ultramarine blue in there. And then we can desaturate this too with a bit of that sap green. Yeah, that's actually pretty close to what we want. It's gonna look like super purple for sushi, but trust me on it. It will make the sushi pop in a really nice way. So that's like a pretty good mid-tone. It matches specifically kind of the colors around here, and then into here it gets a little bit more like brighter blue up there, more like cerulean blue with white. So right now this is what we're doing, is around here. Okay, so that's like a good mid-tone for that. So I might put it like around, make a few brighter colors there. Just trying to think where I'll put it, because I wanted to add like the colors for the rice there. So we're gonna have a few brighter colors, and then we're gonna have a few deeper colors. I'm gonna keep some of this on the palette here. I'm gonna put it over to the side just so we have a reference, kind of what that mid-tone looks like. And then we're gonna start mixing. Let's go in the direction of maybe the darker color first. So we gotta make this a little bit more blue. And a little bit more of the red. And this, look at this, like that deeper color, a little bit more of the alizarin crimson. I love the purple that comes out of mixing ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. Like, it's such a pretty color. You will always find those two colors on my palette. I just really, really love them. So I'm mixing kind of like a deep purple. I'm gonna have to desaturate this for sure. Yeah. But this will be nice for the darker areas. So we're gonna use a little bit of the sap green to desaturate that. And this should be closer to that deeper color kind of at the bottom section. I hope my allergies clear up a little bit for tonight because I've got my swim lessons. It's gonna be hard to blow out of my nose if I'm like sniffling all over the place. Okay, that's perfect for that darker color. Love that. Okay, and then we're also going to go on the lighter end now. So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to add a little bit of titanium white to it. Slowly lighten this up. Gonna get a little bit more ultramarine blue for those lighter kind of colors. Let me see, that's decently close now. Yeah, that's definitely getting into the more lighter areas, and then we'll make kind of almost like highlight color above that as well. So I'm keeping just a little bit of that on my palette, just to the side. And we'll get some so in these brighter areas, it's looking more like cerulean blue. Just gonna add a bit of that. It'll be kind of our highlight color on the rice. It's crazy when you really look at the colors and you're like, wow, the rice is actually pretty purple. Purple and blue. That needs a bit more purple in it, so that's why we saved that color there on the side. Let's see if that helped a bit. Actually, still kind of on more of the purpley side, even in those like brighter highlights. Just squint your eyes a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna actually make that a little bit more bluish. A little bit more. Gotta deepen that a little bit. Don't want it too close to those. We're going to add a bit more titanium white to that. I just went more on the blue end, and it's definitely still on the purple end, even in the highlight. So let's see if that'll help now. Yeah, that's closer. There we go. As long as it's close enough. There we go. And then we will make the last color will be kind of the seaweed that's wrapped around. I'm gonna make it like a greenish tint, but like a really dark greenish color. Greenish purpley kind of color is what I'm gonna go for because it's very deep. I'm gonna use ultramarine blue, I'm gonna use my sap green that I like using. Just a little bit of alizarin crimson. A bit more alizarin crimson. More sap green. And I don't want it like too dark. I do want maybe a little bit of warm white in there so you can see the green of it. Want it to look like seaweed. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let me hold that up. Yeah, it's still a nice dark green. Might be hard to pick out on the camera. I still got to get a new camera for this one here. I kept the camera switched from last week, so the better color camera is on my main painting scene, so it's a little bit easier to see. So for the mixing, this camera is like the Elgato face cam, and I find the colors are very like bluish. Like it makes everything kind of look like blue tinted. So I'm just gonna get a new webcam because I've tried to play with the settings and they still do not play very well. Okay, we also have to make a nice blue background color. So we are going to do like a cerulean blue in the background. That's gonna be like really bright. So we will cerulean blue in the background. Such a pretty color. I find it's hard to mix with though. It doesn't get picked up very well from my palette knife. It's just the texture of the color. But it's so pretty. I kind of want it even on more of the purple end, so I'm going to add a bit of ultramarine blue in there. So ultramarine blue is a bit more purpley. Let's see. See, that's like really bright still. More ultramarine. Okay. I feel like that's going to be closer to the color we want, more ultramarine-y. Just trying to get those background colors. Yeah, that's closer to what we want. Okay, so I'm gonna put that color there, and then we're also going to probably get a little bit more ultramarine blue because we ran out. Okay. So underneath here, it's more of like a desaturated blue on the shadow. In the shadow areas, the colors tend to be a little bit more desaturated. So we're gonna desaturate this by adding a bit of sap green to it. kind of makes sense because it's reflecting a bit of that green color we made for the sushi, for the seaweed, sorry. Because the outside has a little bit of that green, and there's always going to be a reflection of the object in the shadow. We're actually going to want to go a little bit more sap green with that. It's like a greenish blue shadow. Let's see. That's a little too green now. Add a little bit more ultramarine blue in it. I can use my arrow too. I'm just doing the shadow kind of in this area here, in the bottom. I feel like I need to add pretty green. Do ultramarine blue, a little bit more ultramarine blue. I'm actually going to add a bit of alizarin crimson to it because I think it kind of needs a little bit of that purpley color. And a little bit of the cerulean blue that we have over there. That should be, I think, closer to the color that we want. Went a little too green with that one. Yeah, that's closer to what we want. So that's like the darker kind of color there. We have a slightly lighter one too that goes more into the cerulean blue. A little bit of that green that we mixed up. This is on the lighter end. Let's see. It's like pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit more ultramarine blue. And I'm going to start adding a little bit of titanium white to that. Because there's kind of two shadow colors. I'm mixing up the second shadow color right now. So this is still kind of in the shadow area. So those are like our two shadow colors. And then we've got this like really nice light kind of bluish color. I'm just gonna kind of clean this off a little bit. A bunch of titanium white. I should be able to just mix the titanium white with whatever's here, and that'll kind of make that bottom whitish color. We might have to get more titanium white depending on how blue that gets. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna need a little bit more titanium white. Grabbed my paint squeezer thing. Now I got it all over my hand. Just wipe that off my hand. I'm gonna go wash my hand quickly. I can just wash it over here and still talk to you guys because I got my headphones on. Try to wash off the paint when it happens. because you really don't want oil paint sitting on your skin. I tend to do pretty good at like it not getting on my hands, but okay, 1 second. Okay. I just gotta blow my nose because these allergies. Okay. Okay, we're doing the white. That's what we're doing. Sidetrack because we got it all over our hand. Okay. A little bit more titanium white in there. And that'll be our nice background color that we'll use. We're going to start by painting kind of that main sushi, I think, in the front. I'll do the background last. Okay, that should be good. We've got kind of those extra colors there. I don't know if we'll need those. We'll see. Okay. Just going to set that over to the side. I'm going to move to the next scene, which is the painting scene. So we've got that there. Should have, there we go. Making sure they're all in the scene there. And I've just got like a little sketch. You don't need to do anything super fancy for it. Just a little sketch of where they are. We're going to add most of the details just in colors. I'm going to probably start out with my number 0 flat Seneca brush. Seneca. I need to figure out how to pronounce that brush name. But that's the brush I'm going to be using. It's this one. So it'll be easier to see it over here. Using that one. It's just like a little flat brush. You can use any brand of brush. Just a little flat one. So that's what we're going to start out with. And I'm going to erase the sketch first before we begin. Get all my little cameras set up to make sure it's all here for you guys. I also have to move this main camera so you guys can see me. Don't want to forget to do that. Okay, point you towards my kitchen and where I will be painting over here. Okay, now you can see me on this side. I'm just setting up the camera here. Just have to make sure that the camera is in focus. And then all I have to do is set that, and it looks like we've got good positioning for the camera today. Make sure that's all set up for you guys. There we go. And then we can just start erasing. So I'm just using a kneaded eraser, like a little gummy eraser. And I'm taking off just a little bit of the sketch. Like that. So then you can still see it. It's not erased all the way, but then we won't get too much of the graphite in our paint because it tends to mix with oil paints quite a bit, which we don't want to happen. Don't want the graphite mixing with it too much, or else your colors kind of become muddy. Okay, it's pretty good. On there. Then I'm going to grab my paintbrush over here. And we can start painting. So let's start out with the avocado, because I like painting avocados. We'll go with the darker kind of a green color there. We will paint in all of those darker sections of the avocado. Go into this next color here. And the colors might look off at first since you're painting on white, but as you add in the other colors around it and the details, it'll all kind of come together. It's kind of like a trust the process type of thing. Go into the next color. You just trust the process. So I like mixing the paint beforehand too, because you just get to like enjoy painting after that. Just enjoy it, let it happen. Got kind of this lighter color too. That's the lightest part of the avocado there. Try not to blend it too much. Put some of that darker green in this area here. It's kind of like a shadow in that area there. Good start with the avocado there. You can bring the avocado down into this area a little bit, just with that darker color. And there's a bit more kind of in this area as well. It's got some darker bits over here as well. I'm also going to grab my linseed oil out. Clean off that area a bit. I'm going to put my linseed oil down here, and I'm just going to dip my brush in to kind of clean it off in between colors. I'm going to do probably the yellow color next for the just egg that's there. I'm going to grab the darker color for that. And I'm going to find the deeper areas of that yellow. Kind of around the edges a bit. The center kind of area. And then around the edges here. Okay. And then I have the lighter part there too, so I'm gonna grab this lighter yellow. And I'm just gonna put that in between the darker areas. And then we're gonna come in at the end and add more shadows and highlights as well. Kind of like getting like the base colors down first, and then you come back in and you can add a detail. Mostly because I don't want to clean too many paintbrushes right now. Hey, thank you. Welcome to the live stream today. I'm excited to paint sushi. I love painting sushi. Actually, I didn't show you guys our last sushi. I should show you guys our last sushi. I had it up earlier. I should have brought it over. So I made like eggplant sushi last time. So that's our little sushi that we painted last time. So now we're doing a little group of them this time, which will be really nice. I'm excited to paint more sushi. Everyone really liked it last time, and there was a bunch of people that painted it. So yes, this is oil paints here. Doing some oil paints. We just pre-mixed all of these colors here at the start of the stream, and now we're just kind of adding them on. I like to mix all of my colors up front. That's the nice thing about oil painting, is you can kind of mix your colors up front and then put them on slowly while you're painting. You can just like focus on painting and not having to mix colors. So we're doing the sweet potato next. I'm going to add the shadow areas in for the sweet potatoes. It's kind of like a reddish shadow area that we've got going on. So we mixed this nice red tone. It's like a purpley red tone that we mixed up. Just trying to add extra color in too, because I think it's nice to kind of brighten up the colors a little bit and make it super colorful. I tend to gravitate towards like reference photos with like lots of color in them, because it's fun to mix all of these different tones and like really play around with the colors and make them a little bit more saturated sometimes. Okay, red there. And now we can start adding in the orange parts of it. I'm just going to clean it off with a little bit of linseed oil in between. And we're going to go into this orange color that we made. So that's going to be kind of the main color for there. You should make a tutorial for oil painting. It's really good. Love it. Well, thank you. Yeah, I actually keep these up on my channel afterwards too, so you can go back. This is week 21 of me running this. I'm calling it the mini paint challenge, and I do live streams every Wednesday at 10 a.m. PST, and we do these live paintings. And then yeah, I just keep them live or up on my YouTube channel after I just upload them, and I keep them up on my channel so people can come back anytime they want and try out the tutorial. I try to keep them under 3 hours, these painting sessions, so between the mixing and then painting, it's under 3 hours. Most of them are around like 2.5 hours. It's not very often I do the actual full 3-hour stream, but yeah, they're all up on there. I kind of figured if I do the live streams, it's like a live tutorial, so it's kind of nice to keep these up on the channel so then everyone can enjoy them and see my process, because I have a very different process, I feel like, than other oil painters. I just kind of do my own thing. I made up my own like method. Thank you. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, we do these every week, so it's just like a fun little challenge. Also, if you want, there's a mini paint challenge link in my bio, and you can go back to some of the past weeks and download the reference photos. I left like the high quality reference photos up on my website to download there. You can download them for free. They're all up there on the website. Just so then you can like blow it up on your computer a little bit bigger. I've got like the reference photo on like a big computer screen right now, and it's easier to kind of pick out the details and follow along when you have like the bigger reference photo. But yeah, I took this one a few weeks ago and I've been wanting to paint it for a while. I just really love taking pictures of like my food, so I feel like I end up I end up painting a lot of food because of it. End up with a lot of food paintings. But yeah. Do you normally oil paint or do you do other types of painting? I've had a few people join the challenge and they've done like little like polymer clay creations and was it watercolor, acrylic painting. So any medium is welcome too. So if you don't oil paint, that is perfectly fine too. I used to do a lot of like acrylic painting. That's what I used to do, but I got into oil painting like 2 years ago and I've just like fallen in love with it because the medium is really nice to use. Okay, I'm just cleaning off my brush with a little bit of linseed oil. I don't use any solvents in my oil painting either because they're like not good for you. So I try to avoid them. I'm really sensitive to scents, so that's like a really big thing. And then I also have like pets and children in the house, so want to try to stay away from that. So I just use linseed oil, so that's just linseed oil in there. Okay, we're going to take that lighter kind of orange color that we made and I'm going to put that on. And like I said, we're going to add the highlights at the end, so we're just going to get these base colors on first before we add the highlights, because as soon as you start adding highlights, you can sometimes go a little bit too far with highlights, especially with oil paints, and then it's hard to go back. It's really hard to darken highlighted things. So you always want to try to add the highlights last if you can. I mean, you can also just do it whatever way you want, but I found, at least with the type of oil paints I use, it's easier to just wait until the end to add those highlights. Okay, just kind of giving it a rough edge there. Just got a set of oil paints. I'm really paranoid to start seeing. Yeah, it can be like really intimidating at the start. I feel like that's why it took me so long to try them out. Like I've always wanted to try oil painting, but I was like, oh, there's like all these like different things, and I don't know, like people talk about using all of these like really toxic like turpentines and solvents and stuff, but you don't actually have to do any of that. I have a video up on my channel actually that shows like the different products I use for my solvent-free oil painting. I also have a how to clean your oil paintbrushes solvent-free as well. So I made a video on that recently. I'm trying to create more videos on my channel because I normally post on like Instagram and Facebook, but everyone was asking for videos. So I started making this YouTube channel to get more like tutorials and stuff out and to show how I do things. So I'm hoping the videos will help people with oil painting, I guess, and getting started with it. Because I know it wasn't too long ago that I started with oil paintings and it definitely was a little bit nerve-wracking at the start. Okay, we are going to do, we've got to put in this area here. I was thinking we'll do the little, the word needs to come to my head, mushroom. There's a little shiitake mushroom in the corner there. And I mixed up this color for this shiitake mushroom. So we'll add this darker kind of like purplish color. And it's kind of like along this area. So this is like the top of the shiitake mushroom. And then Bit of a line there. Go. And we'll go into the next color. Grab a bit more of that darker color too. So we're adding those lighter colors in. Blending it out a little bit. I'm gonna also add a little bit of the, so there's a bit of this color here. That's gonna be for the sushi rice, but I'm taking a little bit of that color. Just gonna add a bit in there, just to lighten some of those areas. Go. I'm gonna grab the darker color again. Just gonna try to add that dark color to the end again. Put a little bit of that lighter pigment. Let's see. Try to make that back area a little bit darker. A little shiitake mushroom there. And then we will also I'm like trying to film on my phone too. I need to get it so my screen stops like turning off on my phone because I don't want to like film the whole thing on my phone. I'm trying to like film like little clips of it to make like reels and stuff. And I've got really into, like I was saying earlier in the stream, I really have gotten into like making like these little polymer clay things too, just for myself. But I made little mac and cheese earrings the other day. I have them up on my, I put like a little how I made them. But the cheese looks so real. I got like the liquid clay and I like was mixing the colors and I made like this really perfect like cheesy texture. So now I'm gonna have to just make like cheesy earrings, or I could actually just make like drippy cheesy earrings. That would actually be really cute. But now I'm just obsessed with making my own earrings. I feel like the liquid clay would be really good for making like a maple syrup kind of texture. So I was thinking like waffle earrings would be really cute too. I just want to make all of my own little earrings now because I love mini painting. That's the thing, is I feel like it has like such a good crossover because I'm like, I already love doing like these mini paintings and I enjoy like all of the different textures and like using small brushes and stuff. Like I did this, it's still kind of drying a little bit, but I made this like little mushroom jar. You guys see that? Might be hard to see, but I did like a little mushroom jar the other, this is going to be for my paintbrushes. I wanted like a little holder for my paintbrushes and I wanted mushrooms to be involved, so I made that and I'm really excited about just making things with polymer clay for my art studio now. I feel like I need to make one of those like cute little like brush holders for the sides. So I have like a cute little like brush holder. I have all these ideas with polymer clay, and it has to have like little mushrooms on it too. That'd be cute. Brush holder. Or it could be a mac and cheese brush holder. Oh my gosh. I have so many ideas. But yeah, I really love mac and cheese. So I knew that the earrings, the first earrings that I was going to make, had to be mac and cheese. Okay, I'm getting distracted. I'm like so excited because I like want to make those waffle ones, but I just like do not have time to like make them in the next couple days because I'm really busy. Okay, we're gonna go with this darker color. We're gonna do the sushi rice next. So I'm gonna go with this darker color and we're gonna start adding some of the like darker tones down here. I guess we could have been doing the other ones at the same time, but we'll do those last. I want to get like the main sushi. kind of in there first. So this is like the darker areas. And like the darker area here. Find that there's like more dark area around the seaweed as well. It's kind of like reflecting a little bit of that seaweed color. And then it's like lighter up in this area, so let's start with that. We're gonna go to this next color up. This is kind of the mid-tone color that we made. It's a nice purpley color. I'm just gonna make little blotches of rice. Dabs of rice in between the darker dabs that we made. And I find it's kind of like all about like layering the colors when it comes to this. You want to start with those darker areas first and then layer into the lighter areas. We're going to add some lighter areas on top. I feel like the avocado needs a little bit more that lighter kind of color. I'm gonna grab a little bit of titanium white actually. I'm gonna go to this lighter color that we made. A little bit of titanium white. I feel like it needs to go up a little bit more, you know what I mean? Like, it's not high enough up. Don't want to accidentally add the sushi rice in the area that I want to add this. So. There we go. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of the colors there. It's going to feel really weird at first, like just adding purple, this like purplish gray color to here, but it will look better once we don't have the white in the background. That's why a lot of people do, I think, underpaintings. I don't particularly like doing underpaintings because if you do it with acrylics, that's okay. But I don't like the texture of acrylics underneath my oil paint. I would rather paint directly on the paper. But I could do oil paint underneath, but I'd have to plan it like a day in advance to do like an underpainting, a day or two, just so then it would dry. And sometimes I have an idea and I just want to do it. So I don't want to have to wait for like my underpainting to dry, because by the time I get to painting, I may just be like, okay, I'm done with that idea. So it's like I'm doing it a la prima on here on my white surface for that exact reason. A la prima means kind of like all in one go, so that is just very much my painting style. It's kind of like the wet on wet kind of thing that like Bob Ross did. I mean, he actually had like a wet like background on his, but I am doing it because I'm just adding wet paint on top of wet paint. And then once it's done, it's done. I just like don't go back to add more details because I think there's like something like so nice and like natural in like leaving kind of like the imperfections, because that's like what makes us like painters unique, right? Is all those like little imperfections in our art. It really adds to the depth of a piece when you just like leave those in and just appreciate kind of that human touch to art. I really love that. I don't want it to look like a photo. I want it to look like a little painting that someone spent hours on, you know? Except I do like detail. It's just, I don't want to wait multiple days for detail. Okay, so we're just like layering the colors. I went into the next color now. Just very lightly layering these. Making kind of like little rice blobs. Okay, we're gonna go into the lightest color that we made there now. Nice light color. I'm gonna slowly add this in, and this will start to add little highlight areas. We'll go in and add even more highlights, but for now, I'm just adding the edges on things and I'll slowly see it come together. I hope it's showing up on the camera okay for you guys. Let me know what you think of the new camera that we've got on the painting. I feel like it's better than the old one that we had. A little bit better. It's looking like very blue. It's not that blue in person. Or not that purple in person. The colors are still like not as accurate as I would want. I don't know if we'll ever get like a webcam that's like accurate and true to color. Okay, I'm gonna have to add like the little sushi or seaweed sheet as well in there. And we'll add some highlights after, like I was saying. I'm gonna grab this one that I was using. Just add those details on the avocado. And I'm gonna add the darker color to this little guy here. Trying to like clean it off the best I can. Running out of room to clean it off on my cloth. I need to cut up some more old towels. Okay, so this is the color we wanted to use for the seaweed around the edges. And I'm using, this is like an angle shader. And I figured this would be pretty good around the edges. And just slowly add this around to the edges. And we also have to add, it's kind of like seaweed here. That's where the roll started. More of that darker adding kind of the darker areas in now, because you can see that the seaweed kind of comes down in certain areas because it's not covered up by all of the rice. So I'm just making kind of those areas right now. And we can darken those a little bit too. We're just figuring out where we want to add them in right now. Go back in at the end and add a slightly darker color too. Probably add like a purple in there just to like deepen things a little bit. The green is a little bit too transparent. Need to deepen those colors a little bit. I mean, it's coming together. It's getting there. It definitely looks like, is it blue? It's not too bad. It looks more blue on the screen, but it's not that blue in person. Okay. And I'm gonna also start to add a little bit of those highlights. So I'm gonna grab a bit of titanium white and a little bit of that darker color, purpley color that we made for the sushi rice. Make a slightly lighter color even. And this is going to be kind of like our highlights on the rice. So some of the rice is going to be a lot more white. That's like the rice kind of near the top section because it's just brighter. We're trying to add kind of like more details in now because we got like some of those main colors. I do want to add some background kind of colors before we go too into detail in this part. We'll come back and we'll add even more details. Color dirty. Trying not to get it too dirty. I get some of the background in before I brighten this up a little too much. As soon as we get the other colors around it, it might look too bright. So the thing with white paper, it'll kind of like trick your eye into thinking things are not saturated enough or even too saturated. Okay, we will do background. I'll just do the blue background. So I'm gonna grab, this is a number 2 flat brush. I'm gonna grab this kind of blue sky color. Nice blue. Adding a little bit of this lighter color as well. I feel like it's very dark and I want to go more light in certain areas. Need a bit of brightness here. There we go. This color. Move the light over a little bit more. Get a little bit of that lighter color. Keep a little bit of the brush texture back there. Could also buff those out too if we want with a different brush. But it's kind of nice to have that. And then we'll do the shadow color underneath. So I've got kind of this blue color underneath for the shadow. And I've got, do the lighter color too. I'm going to clean this off a little bit before we get into that lighter color, just so we don't spread that darker color into anything. Blue is one of the harder ones to get out, especially like the cerulean blue. I feel like it stays in the brush quite a bit. There we go. Okay. We will put this in the background. I'm gonna blend this out too. I'm gonna shape this a little bit better. Let me readjust this so I can see the shadow and where it actually goes. Kind of shape this a little bit. I'm gonna make some of those lines a little bit darker too, for the seaweed. It's gonna be so fun to add all the highlights into the sushi after. Just adding a bit more titanium white to this blue color. I'm gonna add a bit of linseed oil as well. I feel like sometimes it's like really hard to spread, so I'll just add a little extra linseed oil. You don't want to add too much though, because then it will take a long time to dry. But the sushi's already looking cute. I'll share some photos of it afterwards too, because I know that the colors will be more accurate in like a photo that I take afterwards of the sushi. I'm gonna blend that a little bit nicer with a smaller brush, but just gotta get this base color on all over first. Make sure I leave room for those other sushis. Those background sushis too, we're gonna do kind of the blurred color. So we're just gonna put like the base colors that we see and not do as much detail as we did in this main one. Okay, I'm gonna grab a smaller brush. Probably I'll probably grab maybe one of the flat brushes. My little Josol blender brush. This is number 4. Should I grab something smaller? Yeah, I'm gonna grab these ones actually. I'm gonna grab my 2/1 round Princeton Imperial one. It's like pretty damaged, this old brush that I have, but it's great for blending. So I'm gonna dip into that darker kind of color, that darker blue color that we made the third one down. And I'm going to start using that for the shadow. And I'm going to bring the shadow out more. I'm going to blend some of it in. I'm going to use some dry blending techniques too, so I'm going to actually take the pigment off of it, and the brush is dry now. I'm going to blend out the edges. Blend out those edges there, just with a dry brush. It's going to help us kind of like blend on the canvas a little bit here. And obviously, if you were doing it bigger, you could add more details, but that's the thing with these smaller ones, is you got to be really selective on the details that you add. So I'm being very selective on adding too many details. Being really careful with this. Sharpening up the edges in certain areas and lightening, because there's almost like two like little shadows. It's like a lighter shadow and there's a darker shadow. So we're just trying to create that effect right now. And I just keep dabbing my brush off to get some of the pigment off of it. When I pick up too much pigment, I'm just dabbing it off. Hopefully not into cat hair. That's the thing, having cats, there will be cat hair all over my paintings. Try to keep them off of my desk, but still get hair everywhere. It's just like floating around in the air. Okay. It's looking a little bit more blended, which is nice. I'm gonna actually like bend this a little bit up. Get some of this lighter pigment and bend that shadow up a little bit. Angle it a bit. Same with this one. Kind of curve it around, you know? Okay. It's a bit more curved there. That's what we're looking for. And then while we have this one already, I might as well get that darker blue. I'm gonna actually add a bit of that darker blue underneath these other sushis we're gonna paint. So we might as well add those in now. Just a little bit. That blue color. Make sure it's really, really blended that area though, because it's supposed to be in the background there. Go back in and add some of those green areas too, so it blends a little bit. Okay, and then we will also go into those back areas there. Oh, I'm getting like the white on there. So I'm gonna turn that over so I have a little bit more room to work on cleaning my brush sides a little cleaner. Okay. I'm gonna get this brush ready and we're gonna just add some of those base colors in the background. So there's a lot of yellow and orange. There's actually not a lot of the like green color. We'll start out with the green because there's not a ton of it. And I would say kind of just there a little bit. There's maybe some like right here, and that's about it. We're going to blend these out quite a bit. We're going to kind of buff those colors out and make them blurry in the back. So we're not adding detail here. We're just adding kind of those base colors. So we're going to add some orange in here. And that lighter orange as well. We'll add that in there. How's it going? It's going pretty good over here. We're getting there. You like how blue the rice looks? Yeah, it looks more blue on the screen. It is not that blue in person. You should actually come down and see it. My husband is upstairs. It's definitely just the camera again. It does not look that blue in person, and I don't know, maybe I needed to reset this Logitech camera every time. I thought I saved the settings though. It might be I have to reset them every time. So I've got that, and then I'm going to also add the yellow part to the sushi as well. Like I said, we're going to buff these colors out so there is no kind of details. We just want base colors here. We're going to get the lighter yellow as well. Add that lighter yellow in there. And lighter yellow here. Oh, and then there's also a little bit of shiitake mushroom in the one, so I will add a bit of that color as well. And then for this one, I could try to pull Logitech up and see. See, I still have the same settings. Nope, that was definitely do not want that. I don't know if we can. That may be better. No, that's like desaturating it a lot. That maybe made it a little less blue, right? Made it a little less blue, but it's still, it's not that blue in person. What are you doing, hun? I'll come down later, wrap up the coding assignment. Yeah, we gotta have a lunch after this. Okay, we're gonna get back to, I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow in this bottom section here. A little bit more yellow. Add this orangish color on the edge here. Maybe this darker kind of reddish color. Try not to add too much detail though, because we don't want detail. So getting the base colors kind of on these guys. I'm gonna blend it out quite a bit. I'm gonna use my like little blender tool. Okay. I'm gonna grab this kind of angle brush. We were using this for the seaweed, so let's get some seaweed color in there. Sushi color there, and then for this one, just like a little bit that comes up around here. Okay, and then we're gonna add all of those like little, I'm gonna just use this little brush I was using to blend. And I'm gonna use that to just add the sushi rice color. So I'm gonna grab the darker color, I'm gonna use the darker color in some areas, especially along the bottom edges. Get that darker color on there. Grab the one just above it, add more of those colors. Trying to kind of blur it out as I go because it shouldn't be super dark. And then this lighter color too. slowly add that in. We're just kind of adding those lighter colors in now. But we're not adding kind of sushi spots because it's supposed to be blurred. So I'm really trying not to add any sort of detail in those back ones, which can be really hard sometimes. You just have to kind of add kind of a base color of what you see. I would say this takes a lot of practice to kind of pick out those main colors in the background and not add too much detail. Being very selective on how the colors are blending. And as soon as we add more detail in that front one too, these ones will look even more blurred in the background. Yeah, I did the color correction a little bit. It's still looking a little bit. I feel like for every painting I'm going to need to color correct a little bit. Just depending on which colors I'm using. Also the lighting is a little different every day, so I will know for next time just to kind of color correct a little bit beforehand. Okay, see, that's making it like look a little bit blurry just by kind of like blending those colors a little bit. Just like buffing out the colors. That's what I would call this. And then dry brushing them. So I'm using that little brush again and I'm just kind of like buffing those colors a little bit so then they're not as, they're a little bit blended together, a little blurry. There's no texture in them. If you add too much texture with the paint, then it's gonna look like it's in the foreground. But we don't want it in the foreground, we want it in the background. Okay, that's looking like quite blurred in the background, which is nice. I think we did a pretty good job with those blurry sushis in the back. Now what we have to do is add detail on the front. Which is going to come probably in the form of a lot of highlights. Highlights tend to really help making things look like they're in the foreground and they're in focus. Just by adding highlights in the front, that should help. Okay, there we go. Those are nice and blurred out in the back. And yeah, we can grab even smaller brush. So I will probably grab, I have my 10/0 and my 20/0. I like to use the Princeton Velvet Touch liner brushes. I find they're really nice. I was hoping to find more of the Sienna like liner brushes too. They're a little stiffer, But it's kind of nice to have like the more flowy kind of lighter ones for details anyway. So I think I'll start out with the 10 over 0. I'm gonna actually use this, so we made kind of this darker color. I actually want to make like a purple, so I'm gonna take a little bit of ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson, and I'm just gonna make like a purple, like a really dark purple, because I feel like this was like a little too green, that one, and we need a darker color. So I'm gonna make a purple just on the fly here, improvising. And you'll see that that'll kind of add, there we go, that darkness that we need in those areas. And we can still add some of that green back in as well, but I'm just trying to get that like deepest, darkest color that we can. And then we're also going to go back over that and add some like highlights to the seaweed on the edges as well, because I think the highlights will really make it stand out from the background. Go, that's making it a little bit darker. Well, thank you so much. Welcome to the stream today. Painting this cute little sushi. I was so excited to paint this little sushi today. I took this picture a few weeks ago, and I've just wanted to paint it ever since I took this picture. Anytime I have food, I'm gonna like set it up and do a little session, little photography session with my food. Okay. It's a perfect day for painting. I feel little, I was saying I actually woke up a little bit. I was a little tired at the start, but even though I'm tired, it just feels like the perfect day to paint. I find on like tired days, it's just nice to like relax and paint and do these live streams. Nice relaxing thing to do on a Wednesday. Or at least it's Wednesday for me here. It is just after 12 o'clock for me here during the day. I'll probably have lunch after this. Too bad we don't have stuff to make more sushi. I could have made sushi to go with my sushi painting today. I'm definitely gonna have to make some sushi. Oh, we're going over to my husband's parents' place, I guess next weekend. We should make sushi when we're there. That would be a nice way to spend the long weekend. I think we're gonna go to the lake too. We're going to the mainland. I live on Vancouver Island in Canada, and so I think we're gonna go over to Vancouver. My sister lives in Vancouver too, so I'll probably visit her. All of our friends on the mainland anyway. Okay, I'm just adding a little bit of the purple into some of the darker parts here. That'll really make the other colors pop quite a bit. Just adding those darker lines will make other colors around it pop. And then we've also got adding these dark bits will add a bit more dimension to these areas, because I feel like they're looking very dull right now. And then we'll also add some highlights too. I feel like that's my favorite part, is adding the highlights at the end. I would say it's probably the highlights. It's just so fun to see all of the little bright highlights go on at the end. Kind of going around the grains of rice with a little bit of this purple, just to kind of like keep some of those deeper colors in there. Those little grains of rice. Kind of making them pop a little bit more. Kind of stand back when you need to like figure out where you want to add the details. Okay. I'll grab some of this red as well, kind of for this orangey area. The deeper color is kind of in that red tone. Slowly adding that. Just cleaning up my brush a little bit. Going into that orange a bit. Also adding a bit of red to it. Just get that darker color. Okay. And then we're gonna go in and we're gonna add a little bit of detail into the sweet potato. I have to grab some of that darker red color again to add a bit more of that. Adding kind of like stringy bits to the sweet potato. You can kind of see there's like those little bits. We're gonna go back into this red color too. I'm gonna add some more shadows in the sweet potato. You can kind of see there's more shadow areas in the reference photo, so we'll kind of try to mimic some of those. Get back into that red color. Add a bit more shadow in this area here. Just adding some darker bits here. I'm going to go back into this purple too, and some of those deeper bits into the red sections. Definitely just needs those playing with, I guess, the shadows right now. Just making sure those shadows are dark enough so everything else kind of like brightens up and pops a bit more. Because if we really get those darks into the right color, then everything else will pop around it. That's called value. You can use some artsy terms there. The value is like the light and dark areas while you're painting. So a lot of people use the word value when describing this. Really trying to find those values in there and make the values as accurate as possible, because you can do whatever color you want as long as your values are accurate. The easiest way to like help you figure out values too is to turn your photo like black and white. A lot of people do that. They can find the darkest section in the painting and kind of match that to a color and go from there. Did you blur the background more? Yeah, so I I kind of like took my brush and I blended out the background a bit. I maybe blended a little too much, so I might go back in and add a little bit of detail just to like not make it so blurry. But yeah, I kind of like blended in this area a bit. Just to like blur it out, we can kind of bring it forward a little bit with some more detail. And then just adding a bit more detail into all of these areas here. orange in there. Little orange bits. Take some of those. Put the orange bits kind of in there. A little bit of orange into the rice because it's like reflecting the sweet potato a bit. I'll make it a little bit closer to that color. Same with the green at the top. The sushi is reflecting a bit of that green. So I'm going to just grab a little bit of that green on my brush. It's kind of like bouncing off the light and making the shininess a little bit green. Blending out these harsher lines that I put in, so kind of blend them out a little bit. Go back into that orangish color. Actually gonna add a bit more in some of these areas. There we go. And now we're going to go into this greenish color that we need. I'm gonna start kind of adding that around where the seaweed is, just to kind of add some of that green back in, but very lightly. Adding some of that green back into the avocado. There we go. Blend that out a little bit more. We might actually add a bit more detail back into the sushi that we lightened up a little bit. Do that after. I'm gonna add, I think, some details in here first. And then I'm gonna actually I'll use this to add a bit more detail into those back ones. I don't want to add too much detail though. Just adding those reds in there to add a little bit more depth around. I'm going to blend them out after. Add a little bit more of this darker yellow color in the edge. And then a little bit more of that green color too. That like deeper green color. Okay, I'm going to use the little blender brush now. I'm just doing a very gentle kind of brushing of these colors into here. Hopefully some of these darker colors makes it go into the foreground a little bit more, but not too much. It's like a little bit of detail, but I don't think too much to make it stand out too much. I do think we need to add a little bit more of those white highlights in the back there. Let me just add those white highlights in there. Just gonna add a bit of this titanium white to some of these areas here. Makes it stand out a little bit more, but not too much. There we go. Just over here focusing. Okay, just stand back from it and see if you need to like add any more details in the back. You don't want to add too much, like I said, just enough for it to stand out a little bit more, but add some of those darker areas back in. also a dark purple. Just add that in some of these areas. Go back into this red color that we made. Just adding a bit more detail. I'm going to dab off my brush now. I'll lightly brush over it just to blend it in a little bit. Same with this one over here. It's definitely a little less blurred now. Okay, and we're kind of like at that point where we can add little highlights now, I think. Okay, I am gonna grab probably my 20/0 brush here, my little liner brush, just adding a little bit of linseed oil to it. And then I'm going to grab a highlight color. So I'm going to do a little bit of a mix of this blue color and titanium white because that seems to be a pretty good highlight color. We already used some of this color for the sushi rice. Just adding a little bit of that blue and titanium white. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add the highlights in some of the main areas. So there's lots of kind of glossy areas around here where the sweet potato is. Lots of like little highlights. You want them kind of sporadic. You don't want them kind of like evenly spaced or anything. Looks more natural if it's just all over the place. This avocado here is more edges too. Seems to have quite a bit of kind of glowiness to it. There's a lot around these sweet potatoes here, so and this will start to make it kind of come to life. I feel like anytime you add those highlights, you're really gonna start to see that dimension. That's why it's like trust the process, because you got to add like a lot of like little layers here and there to really see the full picture of everything. There's a few little like highlights too on the eggy bits. So I'll do that. And then on these little sweet potato bits that like fell off, kind of got on the other parts, there's definitely highlights on those. And then we can start to add a little bit more subtle highlights on the actual sushi rice. And you can see I keep like dipping my brush back in order to add the highlights on top of all these colors. You have to make sure your brush is cleaned enough to really get those highlights to shine through. I've got more kind of bright highlights around here. Adding more highlights on the sweet potatoes. It's just like a lot of like little dabbing, finding out where the highlights are, where like kind of the biggest highlights are, and really accentuating those ones a little bit more. And that will make this pop. And a little bit there. Also got some highlights along the edges. So I'm gonna add that highlight along the edge. Make the seaweed pop a little bit more, having that highlight there. There's a little bit more highlight on this edge. The highlights here. I'm gonna step back a little bit. Look at it. Okay, we can definitely add some more highlights. This section here. You can kind of notice like the highlights are almost around the like edges, but not as much in the middle. Like there's a few little highlights here and there, but most of them are like around the edges. A few more highlights, and then we'll just kind of call it quits after that. I'm gonna make sure I don't want to add too many highlights in the back here. There we go. Let me stand back now. I think I like that. I think that turned out pretty good. Pretty accurate to what we wanted. I think the highlights really added to it. How does it look on your end? It's definitely like a little bit more blue on the screen, but I will post a finished photo so you guys can see it. Yeah, I tried to adjust the colors a little bit here, but I can like make it a little more saturated. It makes it too blue, like if I saturate it too much. Not bad though, not bad. Yeah, it makes it like really blue if I go too far. I mean, I think did pretty good there. Alright. I'll stop playing around with it and I'll make sure just to post a photo for you guys. But here, let me go to my final painting scene, my thank you scene. So thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I am glad that we got to paint again today. Next week we have another collab with an artist, so I'm really excited to announce that. I'll announce it on my Instagram and Facebook, and I guess I will announce it on my YouTube community tab too. So stay tuned for next week on Wednesday. But if you try this one out, make sure you tag me at Josol Art and use the hashtag mini paint challenge, and then I'll be able to see all of your creations. I love seeing all of the different designs. So if you try to use this reference photo, make sure you tag me so that I can see it. Okay, I hope you all have a good rest of your day or evening. And uh, yeah, I will see you next week. So take care, everyone. Bye.